Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the IMC CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Steve Shorts of LSAT Unplugged. Steve, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks so much for having me on, Gresh.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Steve so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And Steve is a full-time author, teacher, and founder of LSAT Unplugged, an online standardized test preparation company helping pre-law students achieve top LSAT scores. Steve increases LSAT score from 152 to 175 on the LSAT, the 99th percentile, and has taught the LSAT since 2005. He hosts the LSAT Unplugged YouTube channel and LSAT Unplugged podcast with an audience of over 100,000 on LSAT and law school admissions. He's helped thousands of students get into the law schools of their dreams, win large scholarships, and become successful attorneys. Steve, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started and what led you to kind of do all the awesome work you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So basically, I was in college. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I thought maybe I'll go to law school. Took the LSAT. After a very, very long struggle with the LSAT, I ended up succeeding on it, getting that 175. And so I started teaching it. And I really found I loved the LSAT. I loved teaching. And when it came time to submit my law school application, I was like, you know what? I'm not really sure I want to go to law school, but I know that I love what I'm doing now. Why don't I just keep doing it? And I've never looked back since.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And as someone who has taken the LSAT and got kicked in the butt by it, I know it's not an easy thing, but I love that you found your love by in a kind of a different, unique way on the process of where you thought you were going to go. You found something kind of maybe in between or on the way. It sounds like it's even bigger and better.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting this. Seems kind of accidental. It really was accidental, even though it's on the road, as you say. But I love what I do, and I found so many interesting things about the business side of it as well, and the content side of it as well, that I'm just having fun with it, honestly, still.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as someone who has taken the LSAT in the past, a lot of times I almost consider I've heard law school is even a language, but definitely the LSAT itself is a language as well too. So I love that you've been able to kind of translate that to help these future attorneys and people be able to do great things and showcase themselves to these top law schools.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's good to know that you have the experience with it because you know how difficult it is. I mean, we could talk offline about the LSAT more if you want to, but I feel like the journey elements and the business elements of it are also like equally interesting too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to drill down a little bit deeper because I know you're helping out, so many people in different ways. So could you take us through how you serve your clients, what that process looks like in those business parts of it as well?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, for a long time, I was doing the one-on-one, I was meeting one-on-one with students. I was tutoring them or teaching them. And over time, I found there were other ways to support students as well that helped me scale the business further and scale the number of people I could serve further as well. And so one step of that process was creating ebooks. I had written a lot of blog articles in the past. I'd created a ton of written material. And I found that was not able to support students as much as I would like because it was individual bite-sized pieces. I wanted to create something more comprehensive and give people a plan of attack for their studying. And so I created all kinds of different resources like guides, cheat sheets, checklists, written explanations, study plans that it allowed me to create a much more comprehensive set of support materials than simply the random odd blog post here, blog post there. So that was one element. And that also helped me monetize at the same time. I also started teaching live classes that let me serve a greater number of students at once and provide the support at a lower price point as well. So another win-win there. One more interesting thing I've done lately, though, is I was already doing this pre-COVID, but I really scaled it up during COVID, was offering live online classes, not just on-demand videos, but live meetings over Zoom, connecting with a bunch of students simultaneously. And that also allows for easier recording as well. So that has a longer term function too. So that's where I'm focusing mostly now.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And definitely correct me if I'm wrong. It kind of sounds like you have different ways because I always feel like we, learn individually in our own unique ways. And sometimes by having different types of contents in different ways, it allows people to really get what they're looking for, which is that knowledge and information, but to be able to get it in an ebook or a course or the live classes or so many different ways, the podcast and all the awesome things you're doing as well, too, to be able to get that information and that knowledge.
Oh, yeah. There's so many different mediums available now. Whenever I find a new one, whether it's something like TikTok or LinkedIn or Clubhouse, I'm thinking, how can I use this to share free LSAT information with a larger audience and provide more people with that kind of support? So yeah, you're absolutely right. Some people like the books and I have books for them. If they like the live classes and the community there, that's fantastic. If they can't make the live classes or prefer to study solo, the videos can be great for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important to kind of be where people are and understand what they're looking for and translate that message over to them. And so, what would you consider to be what I call your secret sauce, the thing you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique? Is it that ability to be able to translate in different ways on different platforms, or do you feel like it's something else that kind of contributes to your secret sauce?
I would say, I mean, definitely being open to trying new things in the legal field, which is kind of can feel kind of static or stagnant sometimes. I feel like being always looking for the next opportunity to support people and the latest thing and experimenting with it. You know, some things may not work out at the end of the day, but it's worth trying. Like I found that like me talking about the LSAT on TikTok may not always be the most exciting thing. There are people who want that there, but I found that engaging with the TikTok community through stitches, you know, all the different tools that TikTok allows, like stitching with videos or creating duets or comment responses, that tends to get more traction there and be a little bit lighter than covering a logic game in a 1 minute video, which may not be the right medium, right content for the medium. So I experiment and try things out, but also I'm really looking to create community and foster connections between students rather than simply lecturing the supposed perfect answer. So those are two things I really strive to do.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think that I say so often, and you might definitely have been alluding to this and talking about this as well, too. We forget about that human aspect, that community feel in business. So getting the opportunity to really build and foster those connections and those relationships. And of course, being able to understand, okay, this is, well, being able to experiment and being able to kind of see, okay, this doesn't translate as well in this way, but let me do it, in an alternative way. It kind of creates and builds to that fostering of community and relationships.
Oh yeah, no, I'm all about the iteration. I'm all about trying out new things, and a lot of them fail. And luckily, most people never hear about the ones that fail. And that's right. That could also, I mean, I want to make sure people are aware of that. That I've tried so many things that did not work out, and I dropped them. But the things that do work out, I keep them and expand them more. And I also iterate and see, can I tweak a little bit? Because like I wanted to be on TikTok, I wanted to connect with the younger generation, but I've got to do it on their terms and find what works best. But I create a lot of videos anyway, so I just basically put some aside and put the best ones onto TikTok for that platform. LinkedIn, something else altogether, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I love how you said, you drop them, because I think so many times we don't iterate. We continue to kind of, drive home the nail, I guess you can say, of what we want to see work, rather than being more like water and adjusting and changing and seeing, okay, this will work. So let me use this someplace else. And maybe this was perfect for whatever platform we're trying to use.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I think that you can't just try it once only, because a lot of things may fail the first time or the second time or the third time. And also may just be that your execution on that idea needs to change a little bit. Not that it's automatically an idea that's not going to work. And then a lot of things get easier with time as well. Like I would try out a new class format, and the first couple of times it might feel really awkward. I might not be the best at executing on the idea, but if I do it 10 times, I can get enough experience with it that it actually works. And I have my group coaching mastermind calls, and I've now done about 40 of them. And my first 10 were very different in style, and I probably wasn't as good at facilitating those calls. But over doing them for like a year and a half at this point, I've gotten a lot better at them and tried a lot of other different types of experiences within that same container. So the mastermind group coaching looks different now than it did back then. But even if I felt awkward about it the first couple of times, didn't mean I shouldn't keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of like one of the underlying secrets of success is it's not so much that you wake up and you know how to do everything. It's the desire to continually try to experiment, to see what works. And as you said so well, let go of those things and then kind of double down on the things that are working. And that's how you kind of reach your way to success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
I would say the biggest thing that makes me more effective and efficient now is just getting support. Not trying to do it all myself. For a very, very long time, I was trying to do everything myself, and I would work like a dog. I would do like 12 plus hour days every day, and I would achieve a lot. But I didn't realize how much more I could achieve if I got support on executing so many of these things. So for example, I don't need to be the one scheduling all of my YouTube videos. And for context, I'm putting out now approximately 12 video clips a day on YouTube every single day. And I'm also putting out that many on Instagram, for example, or Facebook or Twitter. And it would not be worth my time personally to do that. I should focus on what I know best, which is really just the LSAT and creating a community with that. I don't need to be the one who's manually scheduling every single thing. And so I realized that hiring support for that was something I could do and I should do. And it allows me to focus more on what I really excel at uniquely and also have more time for non-work things too, like family.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important to kind of keep your cup full, and being able to spend time with loved ones is definitely a great way to do that. But as you said so well, is you hear the phrase, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but sometimes it is. Sometimes if you get the opportunity to kind of work with people and to bring on people that can work in their zone of genius while you work in yours, it really provides you to go so much farther than sometimes we were going before. So I appreciate that hack, because I think so many times we can get caught in trying to do all the things and maybe being somewhat successful in doing all the things. But if we don't kind of let go of things and really find our zone of genius, double down on that, then that kind of restricts us from the growth and opportunity that we could have.
Oh yeah, it's restrictive, and people don't even realize it all the time. I mean, this is I am CEO, so I'm speaking, as you said, the CEO mindset. Mm-hmm. I don't know that you're a CEO if you're the only one doing work in the business. To me, that sounds more like being a solopreneur. And one great book I imagine you might be familiar with the E-Myth. Mm-hmm. The E-Myth talking about how there's this myth that you're doing it all yourself and that's success. And just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should do everything. And the everything at the moment, you don't even realize all the other, you could expand the pie of what your business is doing if you got support. Like, for example, I don't know a thing about graphic design. Doesn't mean that I need to go and learn all the things about graphic design myself, or that I should just exclude graphic design from the business. I could find a graphic designer, and I don't have to hire them full-time, 40 hours a week, but I could hire them on the side as a contractor occasionally to do little things like a logo design or create a hero image for Twitter and LinkedIn and such, rather than just trying to make something myself as a sketch that may not look the best.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I feel like that even speaks to kind of like an underlying kind of mindset as far as abundance as well, too. I think so many times we hold on to so much and try to do everything because we don't realize that we can serve more, we can have more of an impact by really drilling down and understanding things that we do better and getting those other people that might cost more than us doing ourselves. But that cost in time and energy is probably worth a lot more than sometimes the work that we're putting in on graphic design or something like that.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I mean, it can feel tough to let go of that money, not knowing that it's definitely going to work out. And it doesn't always. I'll be honest about that. There are plenty of people I've hired where it hasn't worked out for one reason or another. So hiring is a skill, interviewing is a skill, evaluating is a skill, but it's often worth it in the long run. There is a setup cost, there is a training cost in time and in money. But once you find those great people, hold on to them for as long as you can and maximize the work that you give them and throw a bunch of things at them. And they may not be able to do all of them, but whatever they're taking off your plate is time that you're freeing up to focus where it can be much better spent.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I think there's some quote that says, if you can find somebody that can do what you do at least 80%, as well, then you should definitely get it off your plate, because sometimes we don't realize that they have an opportunity to grow, but they also can give you that opportunity to work on other things as well too. And so would you consider that to be what I call your CEO nugget? So this is kind of a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. Is it that importance of being able to kind of understand your zone of genius and bring those team members on, or would you consider something else that you would tell your younger business self?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing I wish I had told my younger self. And I mean, I've been doing this since 2005, full time since 2008, and we're now speaking 2021. I mean, I wish I had done this from the beginning. Honestly, there were so many things I was doing myself that if I had taken those things off my plate, I could have achieved far beyond where I'm at now if I had done it back then. And even now, I'm still thinking, okay, well, what are the obligations I could take off my plate? But the nugget would definitely be to remove some of those things, remove as much from my plate as possible, except for my one unique zone of genius. And ideally, really to bring myself to the point where the business could largely run without me. That's really a goal. Not that I don't want to do the LSAT. I love the LSAT, but everything that's not teaching the LSAT should ideally be off of my plate. So emails off my plate, choosing what gets scheduled, because somebody else could make that decision for me, and removing the decisions as well, which would be like a next level kind of hire.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's extremely a powerful thing and statement, because I think so many times we don't realize that even us making decisions is energy that we could be taking off our plates. And I think some of the most successful people wear the same things every day because they don't have to worry about making that decision, spending that energy there. They can spend it, in so many other places. But I love that what you said as well too about really, I think looking at the process of building a business or growing as a process. And I think so many times we think that every hire we make is going to be somebody that is going to work with us for 20 years. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I think if we go into it and understand that, okay, we have to bring people on and we try to find those, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. Just like with the experimentation we talked before, that kind of gets us ready for the steps that it does take to reach that success.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I hired a couple of people, and luckily, a couple of my early hires were fantastic, and I still work with them. There are many people who have come and gone along the way, though. But I definitely look for people to be long term because a lot of the tasks I have for them are repeatable, and I'll need them presumably for a very, very long time. But it's worth finding those people because even though the setup costs can feel high in the moment, on a long enough timeline, it actually becomes quite low. And whatever instructions you give them, whatever training you give them, you can systematize that and make it like an assembly line where you can reuse a lot of that and apply it to the next person, and their onboarding will be smoother.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely lots of E-Myth messages here because it's so important to be able to kind of do that and create that opportunity, create that kind of training system by bringing on one person. It allows you that opportunity or especially if you document it, that way to bring on other people to have that person backfill the new person you brought. You really get to create that system and that opportunity to really grow and make a huge impact.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'm now at the point where I have approximately 10 different virtual assistants I'm working with consistently. And I found at this point, okay, well, now it's feeling like a pain for me to actually approve each individual task and assign them the next task. And so I started looking for an operations manager to
Mm-hmm.
it's that next level where they're making the decisions. And that's a process that I've only been doing for a couple of months now, but I can already see what a game changer it is. And it's one of those things where I knew I needed that level of support for like a year. My friend kept pushing me. And finally I went and took the plunge, and I had to try out a few different people, to be honest. It was that itself wasn't easy because it was also a more important hire. I wanted to make sure I was getting the right level of support on that. But now I found my person. We've been working together for a few months. It's been fantastic, and I'm very excited to see what that will free up for me, and then also what new opportunities open up to take the business to the next level as well. Because I have the mental space where I'm not bogged down by all the repeatable tasks that are already going on. Like if I know that YouTube videos are going to keep getting scheduled, let's systematize the process of assigning them now so that I don't even have to touch it, and I'll just know those keep going out, and I can think about, well, do I want to add on more live classes? Do I want to expand beyond the LSAT to something else? I now have the mental space to do that.
Yeah, and that's extremely powerful, and we sometimes don't realize the limits in our resources as far as time, energy, and money to some degree too. But if we start to understand that, we can basically focus on the things that are basically moving the needle forward as long as we get that foundation in place. And so I know you touched on this a little bit, so I want to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Steve, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Oh wow. Okay. So I think being a CEO to me, it's a lot of what I've been talking about. Honestly, I would say it's about looking at the business operations as a system that that don't require me to handle each individual part. It's about recognizing that there can every task to define the different tasks and then have systems in place to move the tasks from one stage to the next and look at the business as being able to run without me. And
Yeah.
I focus on holding the vision, but the actual action items don't have to involve me personally making all of those little decisions.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful. I often say so many times that when you start something, you have to have a amount of ego to say, hey, I can create something that's bigger and better and really, make a dent in the universe and impact on the world. But at the same side of the coin or the different side of the coin, you have to be able to step back from your ego and say, hey, I don't want to do all the things. I shouldn't do all of the things. Even if I know how to, that doesn't mean I should be doing that. And that's kind of like that balance beam of being a CEO and balancing what to do and what not to do and how you actually create something that grows and makes a bigger impact.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. I mean, that definitely I really resonate with the. I mean, I've started a business for a while, so I recognize the ego in taking the action to think I could do it, and almost like a little bit of naivete around that. But
Exactly.
then but then on the flip side, it's like, okay, well, you know what? This actually does need to be me doing it, and it can be fine. And maybe it can be only 80% accurate, or alternatively, somebody else could be doing things better than I can do them myself. And then I started thinking, well, a lot of these things can be done without me and go perfectly fine. So I'm like, well, what do they need me for? Like, it's like, well, it's, I mean, in my business, I mean, it's a lot of it is like teaching the LSAT specifically, but I've also hired instructors as well. And so once I realized I could hire instructors who would do a great job, then it's like, oh, wow, like it's more about holding the vision and focusing on the areas that I want to focus on.
Yeah, that's extremely powerful. I love that phrase, holding the vision, because that's the thing that's kind of holding the business together, and all the people are working and rowing in that way towards that vision and that goal. So, Steve, truly appreciate that definition, and I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on.
Oh, thanks so much. I mean, I really enjoyed this conversation, Gresh. I guess that the biggest thing I would leave folks with is like, don't be afraid to get help from others, because your vision is almost certainly big enough that you won't be able to execute it to its fullest potential alone. If your vision is truly that large and world changing, you're going to want support to achieve it. No one is equally masterful at everything. So focus on your unique zone of genius and get support in the other areas that can help to propel you forward. And I always love chatting about this stuff. Folks can always feel free to reach out to me personally. I'm on all the social platforms. Folks can DM me. My contact information is out there on my website and such. And I'd encourage folks to reach out. And of course, if you're looking for help with the LSAT of the law school admission process, feel free to reach out as well, and I can help you.
Nice, nice, nice. I truly appreciate that, Steve. We will have the links and information in the show notes as well, too, to make it even easier for people to get a hold of you. But I love everything you're doing and all the words of wisdom you gave to us today, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thanks, Gresh. Same to you.